Good afternoon, scholars. Mr. Johnson here. I'm going to start off today's video going over some feedback from your exit ticket yesterday, and then we're going to go over today's assignment. So what I've done here and what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm going to, the day after I assign something, when you get your grade backs and when you get this feedback, I'm also going to send you a copy of the exemplar or my example of the exit ticket so that you can see what the correct answers were, or you can see different ways you could have explained things. Please make sure you're looking over this with your work next to it so that you can compare, so that you can learn, you can see what you're doing well. If your work is really similar to the exemplar, you're doing great work. You can also see what's different between the exemplar and your work so that you know what you can start doing to improve your writing and improve your scores. So on the numbers 1 and 2, the answers were C and A. And if you got that right, you may not have gotten a comment. It means you're good to go. If you selected incorrect answer, me, Miss Jenny, or Mr. Calabrese would have highlighted the correct answer and said, like, this is the correct answer. But yeah, prospective jurors, they're just picked randomly. I could get something in the mail tomorrow that said, come on down to the courthouse. You've been summoned to possibly be on a jury. And then once I get there, the trial lawyers are the ones who kind of look through the perspective, ask them questions, send some of them home, and pick the 12 that they want. Number 3, it asks in your own words to explain the steps in the jurying process from the moment someone is summoned until the end of the trial. A lot of you did a good job with that first step of they get summoned, but then you didn't say what happens after that. What do they do during the trial and all the way to the end of the trial? So here are 5 steps that I wrote down. First, anyone who's 18, basically anyone who's 18 years and older, they're summoned to possibly serve. Then the lawyers and the judge ask each of them questions to see whether they may or may not have some prejudices or biases that might affect their judgment in the case. Then 12 people are picked. Other people go home. They don't have to worry about it. They're not in the jury. Side note, none of the reason to say this, but when you are on jury duty, your job has to give you those days off, and you also do get some money for the time that you're there because you're working. Anyways, they listen to all the evidence, and then they go in secret. They decide as a group whether they think the defendant is guilty or not. And then once they say their verdict, their job is done. They leave and they go back to life as normal. A lot of us on our ASAC response, we're not writing full ASAC responses. So I actually color-coded mine. My claims are in red. It's like a stop sign, a stoplight. Red means stop. Yellow, you're going slow. And green, you're going, right? So I color-coded mine so you can see where I'm making my claim. It's like, stop. This is what I'm about to prove, right? Then as I give context about the reading and my evidence, I'm starting to walk you into it with me. So we're starting to pick up some speed. Green is my analysis. This is where I really explain my thinking. Not just what the text says, but what I'm getting into my analysis of it. So that's green because that's when, now that I've caught you up to speed, you know what I'm trying to prove, you know the evidence. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to prove it to you how, like, my thinking. Okay. So there are 2 different options. Option A, did Calvin and Ziesel use that word in a positive or negative sense when they wrote this article, The American Jury? Some of you might have argued positive. Now here's how I would have argued that it was positive. Calvin and Ziesel intended the term remarkable in a positive sense. In The American Jury, they list all the awesome responsibilities with which American jurors are responsible. So right now I'm just kind of, I'm introducing the reading to you. So we're still kind of going slow. One of the remarkable features, now I'm getting to evidence, is that quote, it recruits 12 laymen chosen at random from the widest population, end quote. Now, here's my analysis. Here's where I explain how that fact proves my point that is positive. The fact that anyone can serve in a jury makes the system fair. Anyone can be a juror. It could be almost anyone's job. If it was someone's specific job, they could abuse their power and use it to gain favors or money. Now I'm going to get back into evidence. Another aspect that makes it remarkable is that jurors, quote, carry on deliberations in secret and to report out their final judgment without giving reasons for it. Now my analysis. Having privacy to be able to make a tough decision is important. It allows people to be honest and open without having to worry about what the press or the families of the people in the trial might think. This also makes them safe. If they expressed an unpopular opinion and the whole world knew it, they might be in danger from people with extremely strong feelings about the case. Now here's my conclusion, which is basically making my claim again, which is why it's red. For these reasons, the American jury system is remarkably fair. You might have also argued negative. I'm going to argue negative using the same exact facts. The reason I want to show you this is because I want to show you that there aren't always a clear right or wrong answer. It's all about how you interpret those facts. All right, so here's the negative option. Calvin and Zissel intended the term remarkable in a negative sense. They seem to be foreigners who are shocked at what they discover as they study the American jury. One of the shocking features is that it, quote, recruits 12 laymen chosen at random from the widest population. Jurors in serious trials, like murder, literally decide whether a complete stranger is going to spend the rest of their lives in prison or worse. Would one really want any random person from off the street? Would one really want any random person off the street making that decision if your life was on the line? It's remarkably scary that people with no training are given so much power. Now I'm going to give my second piece of evidence. Another aspect that makes it remarkable is that jurors, quote, carry on deliberations in secret and to report out their final judgment without giving reasons for it. To make sure something is fair, people need facts and evidence. When a jury makes a decision that can ruin someone's life, they should at least explain the reasons behind the verdict. By not having to share the reasons for their judgment, jurors could be completely ignoring key facts of the case, and the outside world would never know. For these reasons, the American jury system is remarkably frightening. All right, so make sure you guys are following these steps. You know, your ASAC response should not take you 3, 4, 5 minutes. It should take you at least 20 minutes to really get out all of your thinking, making sure you're providing context to introduce the text, pick that right piece of evidence, and then really taking the time to do your analysis where you show how that piece of evidence proves your point. Notice how much green my writing is. Most of your text, most of your paragraph should be your analysis. Okay, let's look at today's. We're doing one more day of reading about juries and the process before we get into 12 Angry Men tomorrow. So you're going to have this short reading. This is the Sixth Amendment in the Constitution. The question that goes, the Sixth Amendment lays out multiple rights that you have if you're ever accused of a crime. Okay, the question that goes with this one, the Sixth Amendment guarantees all of the following rights to a person accused of a crime, except, so there's one option here that's not mentioned in the Sixth Amendment. The other three are. So you got to find which one of these options is not mentioned in the Sixth Amendment. It's not actually a right that somebody has. The second question and the third question are really from this reading that explains what it means by a jury of peers. How are jurors selected, but also how are some jurors not selected? Who is purposely not picked to serve on trials? Once you figure that out, keep an eye out for the term peremptory challenge. Make sure you can, this is a two-parter. You got to say what it is and why a lawyer would use a peremptory challenge. And then your big question for the day is true or false. Juries of peers means one has the right to be tried, or, like if I'm on trial, that's being tried. One has the right to be tried by people who share similar backgrounds and experiences. For example, a Hispanic female in her 20s accused of a crime would have the right to have at least one Hispanic female in her 20s also serving on the jury. That's what I mean by shared backgrounds and experiences, people that are kind of like you. Is that a right? True or false? We have that right, all right? So you got to figure out that answer and prove how you know that's true or false, all right? I'll check back in tomorrow. Take your time on these assignments. Write complete sentences. Fully explain your thinking, okay? See you tomorrow.